Good morning to you all. To God be all the glory. Happy Saturday, the last day in February of 2026. The last day we celebrate in and honoring our month of Black History Month. And I had to come with you this morning on this one. Early in the morning, I said, let me get right to it. Okay, but before I do get into it, I want to send my prayers to the family of the Jackson family, and I also would like to say I pray everybody have a safe travel, and that the celebration of their father's life and the widow Jacqueline, she's still alive, and the children are alive. They doing well, and they carrying out their father with honor. His celebration was in Chicago yesterday, I think. They celebrated his life, the opening celebration of his life, and they'll be celebrating his also in Greensville, South Carolina, where he is from. Jesse Jackson is from. He's from Greenville, South Carolina. Like my parents are from Charleston, South Carolina. My mother, anyway. My dad is from Amityville. That's where my dad is from, Amityville, South Carolina. You know, those parts of the South Carolinas. And when I heard Jesse Jackson speak, I knew his accent was a South Carolina accent. You can hear it in him. You can hear a little bit of that Geechee. So anyway, let's go into our Father's prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Lord, give us this day our daily bread and forgive us our trespasses. We forgive those who have trespassed against us. Lead us, Lord, not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thy you are the kingdom, the power, and all the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Yeah, I had to come in here with the prayer because this conversation gonna get a little rough as I go along because I don't know how to stay too calm when I talk about my legends, and especially when I talk about those who actually meant something and done something. They didn't just sit down and talk about it. They talked the talk, they walked the walk. And they did it at a time when it wasn't that convenient and it wasn't easy. And taking to the streets, taking the hits, the blows, and whatever else that they had risked their lives doing during those times during the civil rights. Okay? No, Jesse Jackson was not one of the slain people from the civil rights because they cut off Dr. King. He died at 39 years old. Let's always remember his age. At the time, him and Malcolm both went to their early grave at 39 years old. They didn't get to live the full life that Jesse got to live 84 years old. They didn't get a chance to be able to grow up to see they didn't get a chance to see their grandchildren grow up. They didn't get a chance to see their great grandchildren grow up, but they laid their life down for you to have that opportunity. Remember, for civil rights, when things weren't treated fairly to black America. Point blank, period. Black Americans wasn't even considered human until those doors had to get forced open, kicked open, and the whole nine, and died open. Okay? So whenever you sit down and talk about a civil rights leader, regardless to who they played they rolled as in the civil rights during that time, and they now are being laid to rest, and right now their life is being honored. If you have nothing really pleasant to say, you should be not saying anything. That's why people call it mourning. You sit down and you do reflections, and some people are doing reflections, like myself, who remembers my life growing up. And Jesse Jackson speaking at my early education, which was in elementary school. I was just going into middle school, And he was speaking in my step up graduation, which I was moving on out of the elementary school into. And in New York, we did it differently. We had held a cap and gown. Well, elementary, we wore white dresses, and the guys wore dark blue suits and ties or whatever. We did the valedictorian and all that other stuff, marching in and all that in elementary school graduation. And we had a special guest speaker at the time in the Bronx, South Bronx. When did Vince Ellison ever sit on anybody's platform in any hood, any ghetto, and go speak to the life of these young people who were in a place that was destitute and desperate because we was in poverty over there, living there in the city housing projects, nothing but crimes and gangs and drugs and violence and police activity just about all day and all night, high-rise buildings, young people being raped and thrown off those buildings that didn't survive the ghettos of America. But Jesse Jackson came into that ghetto in the South Bronx of 1978, I believe, and he spoke life into these children. And one of those children happened to have been me. From him coming to say, you are somebody. Okay? He stood on that stage, and I never forget how he spoke into us and told us we were somebody. And many of us made it out just because he was able to put that in us, to speak that into our lives. And from then on, we went on to our other years of education in middle school, high school, and then when I was graduating, here we meet again. He's running now for presidency. I graduated high school in 85, but at that time, Jesse Jackson was running for presidency. And I remember when I went and voted because I became legal to vote for the president of the United States, vote period. And he spoke it into me again. Keep hope alive. Okay? Here we meet again in my high school years. So whenever I feel like he's being talked about in a way that is distasteful and disrespectful, I don't care who you are, you know, I got to call you out for what it is. And this is why I'm having this conversation about Vince Everett Ellison, that he picks a time of this time during Black History Month. He did it on Martin Luther King's birthday. Now he's going after Jesse and Jesse's celebration of his life. And I just can't take it with these black conservatives. If you didn't like Jesse, you didn't follow his work, that's okay. But you could keep your opinions to yourself, because there's plenty people, young people that grew up in certain places of the United States of America. We didn't follow everything of his work, because I know I didn't. I didn't get on the Rainbow Coalition and all that other stuff. No, I didn't go that far with his work as far as when he went into that movement. But I stayed and remembered the stuff that he did help me through in my early years of education, and speaking life into my life and telling me I'm somebody, and then telling me that keep hope alive. You don't understand what that meant, that how it impacts so many young black American children lives, Latino children lives, black. That's why he said black and brown, because he didn't have to only just speak to a black audience. He had to speak to some of the Latino children that was there along with me graduating in that class. So when he said black and brown, he didn't only just single out other children who also meant to be somebody too. And see, when you a child of God, you do not discriminate. You can't have that type of heart. He came for his people first, of course, but he also extended help to others. That's what people got to understand before they run off and pop off with their mouth. What he did, he wasn't. No, he wasn't perfect. There was a lot of flaws. There was a lot of imperfection about him and Martin Luther King. We do understand that they are men. They were human men. They were human beings. Ain't nobody gonna go down without even having a scratch or a wrinkle. Only person went down with that and he didn't even go down without a scars, because he had scars too, but he took it all. And that was our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. So when you come to know Jesus Christ, you will not have these kind of forums or conversations on your platform. This is ignorant. It's disrespectful. I don't care what they didn't tell us. You got on your title the things they didn't tell you, they didn't want you to know about Martin Luther King and Jesse Jackson. If it wasn't something they didn't want to tell because they don't want to hurt people, and that's because they were thinking about not just themselves, they was just thinking about other people's feelings, like my own. Some people don't want to hear these horrible things after the person dead and gone, and if they didn't see it, some things are just not meant to be told. It got to go to the grave with them. Not everything, everybody life, about every little detail of their life should be stripped apart and told to the world. No. We all filthy rags. You better worry about what's going to be told about you when you hit that. When that time comes for you and you worrying about Jesse and you worried about Dr. Martin Luther King, they did their time. And some of them didn't even get a chance to finish their time before somebody took them out of here. But still in all, his name is being mentioned because he's done a great work while he was here, a good and faithful servant. And you can't erase that. Nobody can erase it. It's documented because I am a living, and so many others like myself are a living testimony, okay, for what that meant. And like Jesse pouring into me, Martin poured into Jesse, so Jesse poured into me. So yes, I follow the civil rights for the Black American lives here, and even those who are citizens here who are being violated. So Vince Everett Ellison, before you get on your platform and be disrespectful about our civil rights leaders, you need to go and search and look in yourself and see what you're going to do to make a difference. Besides sitting on your platform and discrediting other people's leaders and who lived and died work, which is your blueprint. Anybody want that sorry ass book of yours? Ain't interested. I'm not interested in it. I'm not interested in nothing more about your character. Because I see it for what it is. You are opportunist. You are an opportunist, and you don't care who you throw in the dirt or whatever you got to say to scandalize or make it sound good so you can please your white audience. So want you to fit in proximity with white folks. And they laughing at you too. Because a lot of them highly respect these two men as well. Because remember, there was black and white fighting for civil rights in the 1960s. And there was women fighting for their rights in the 1960s as well. So you sitting on your platform making all of these derogatory statements and digging up all of this history and knowing all of this stuff about Jesse and dissecting his life while his family is laying him to rest and the community is laying him to rest. You out here want to throw some dagger on this man's life celebration. See, I don't respect black conservative platforms like that. I don't respect no black conservative platform that wants to erase history of black America. I want to sit around and make it seem that slavery never happened and we could just move on just like that. People need to tell the story, and it needs to come from the ancestors. It needs to come from the children of the ancestors, and that's the black children that's still surviving through all the trauma that has psychologically damaged us, but we still need to talk about it so we can heal through those scars, through our past, and move forward. Tell our story. That's why we have Black history. Tell it in the way that it comes from us. Not nobody else, but from us. I'm sorry Vince Everett had I don't know what kind of life experience he had growing up in America as a black man, how he was treated by black people, white people, red people, or whatever people, and he still have this hatefulness in his heart, or him and a whole lot of others like Jason Maddox and even that April Chapman. She gets out of line too. She thinks she's smart. She's so smart till she's stepping in shit all the time for me. With her annoying voice, because she's annoying and she doesn't speak nothing but a bunch of sold out lies. Okay? She don't know nothing. She wouldn't even be enjoying a perm, a seat at the table right there where she's sitting at right now. She probably wouldn't even be enjoying living in that home. She living in Atlanta, probably redlined somewhere else in some ghetto where she could have been probably purchasing her home right now. If it wasn't for people like Dr. King, Jesse Jackson's, maybe you didn't agree with all their politics, but they fought for you, sweetheart. And they fought for Vince Ellison too. But for them to go on any of their platforms to be trashing Jesse Jackson or any of the black civil rights leaders, name, even John Lewis, disrespect is disrespect. And I'm calling it out for what it is. I don't give a damn how many followers they got, that they leading them to damn hell. They hypocrites. Ain't no Christian in them. They opportunists. That's who they are. They'll sell a mother for an opportunity to be famous. That's who they are. And I'm just warning you. And if I was the King and the Jackson family, after all of this, if they platform still out here trashing my father's name, and my father had to die for you fools, I will be hitting you with lawsuits. Yes, I would. I would be pulling every channel you talked about my father, and I'll be hitting those channels with a lawsuit. That's what the King and the Jackson family and the Lewis family, any family that these civil rights leaders that are going down, they children should do in honoring their name and keeping their legacy and keeping this garbage out of people's, sight and away from other people's children, away from our history. These people telling our history in a derogatory way. And if I was the Jackson family, and if I was the Lewis family, and if I was the King family, I will be suing them in court. I will see you in court. Okay? I will be taking down their platforms. I would. I would. I would have to. I would say everybody has a right, but you know what? You put in my father's name is something, and my father been dead for such and such amount of time. What if it was your father? What if it was even you that I'm standing here saying that in front of your children about you? Think about it. Think about it. Respect other people's legacy. We honor people's families and the people that are grieving right now. This ain't no time for you and your politics and you going through people's story, digging up dirt and trying to tell lies and put more lies on their life when they being buried, and you trying to put more stuff on their life that they already suffered through. And they can't go down and be honored and be rest in peace, but you want to dig their name up and throw some more dirt on it. Okay? If I was the Jacksons and if I was the King family, I'll be hitting these people with lawsuits. That's right. Well, anyway, with all that being said, God bless you. I love you. And you all have a blessed and wonderful Saturday. Let me get myself up and ready out of here because I got things to do. I got to run errands and do things. So you all be blessed. I may come back with you all later on. I just wanted to get this stuff off my chest. So you all have a blessed and wonderful February the 28th, the last day in this month of Black History Month. Let's celebrate with greatness and excellence. And with that being said, God bless. Peace.